Come one, come all. Welcome to the Paul Kuharsky Podcast. I'm Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com, here to talk Tennessee Titans. The week after a win, heading into a winnable game at Las Vegas. Hard to imagine they're in position to win back-to-back games for the first time since what, 2022? Welcome in. I'm at Edleysbbq as always in 12 South. Fantastic, bustling neighborhood, my kind of neighborhood. My kind of food. I will be staying for lunch after this fine broadcast is over. Edleysbbq locations in and around Middle Tennessee. Best place to eat barbecue if you're feeling the urge. Great food, great portions, great quality, great price, great hospitality. We will talk more about them as we go on. These Simmons trade rumors are out of control, says Andrew Frill. I don't think there's any substance. I think it's people discussing potential Simmons trades. That's different than any trade rumors of substance. Will JC play this week? I believe he will. We'll get to your questions as we go along. Let me tell you where we're going to head. Excuse me. Offensive line seems to be making some progress. We'll delve into that. Cam Ward's ball placement. As I begin to choke to death as usual. Cam Ward's ball placement. Hadi Ward, the other Ward on defense, starting to emerge as a not insignificant defender for a defense desperate for an edge presence, maybe the best edge presence, certainly the best edge presence on this team. And we will hear from Bill Callahan, Cam Ward, J.C. Latham, Jalen Armour Davis, Ben Bloom, and Randy Jordan, amongst others. It's good to see you here. Spread the word, retweet. We are broadcasting live on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and will ultimately be on Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. Spotify. How about that? Spotify for everyone's listening pleasure. So pleased to have you. Thanks for coming. Let's dive in. Offensive line's progress is a big deal. They've settled down the last 2 weeks. Cam Ward under less pressure. Some of the pressure he's been under has been self-induced. Oli Udo has played better as J.C. Latham's substitute. Peter Skoronski playing particularly well. The whole unit getting better, which is encouraging. It's taken a long time. Is this the beginning of a trend that they played better in Houston, better in Arizona, or, is it just two chance good games at a time where, Arizona, not a fantastic pass rushing team. Houston, pretty damn good two edge players in Hunter and Anderson. So fair question to ask. We're going to get a pretty good answer on Max Crosby, who's a game wrecker, who will line up over Latham. I'm expecting Latham to play. So we'll get more into Max Crosby in particular. But let's listen to Cam Ward first about the offensive line.
I think that was why we were able to win the game. Both sides of the ball, the line, D line, those guys, they worked hard all week. And that's one of the hardest positions to play in the NFL. Those guys, they kept me clean for the entire part of the game. And I just think that's only just a start for those guys. Us finally, getting a chance to communicate at a high level. That was one of our first games, not really having no communication issues. And then I think just throughout the future, we're going to be able to play faster.
If JC's back in the mix now, how much do you back?
That's going to be real good. Just from a athletic standpoint, he's just different. The way he moves, the way he takes care of his body, he's a great leader on this team. He's someone who's a standpoint offensive line, so we get a chance to get him back. It's going to be able to help us for sure.
So Cam sounds encouraged about the whole operation and is talking as if Latham's going to be back. I don't think there's a big doubt about Latham being back. I think they held him for an extra week because the time he had between the initial strain and the restrain, they obviously concluded wasn't enough. So now they gave him that time plus and feel good about him. Here's Bill Callahan, who I kind of asked, is 2 good weeks, qualify as a trend?
I think there's better consistency, and we're still looking to be more consistent. But yeah, I think just little things like we haven't had any procedural penalties. We're cleaner in terms of our operation on the road. So to go on the road in 2 pretty hostile environments and come away clean without any pre-snap, that's a major improvement for us. It really is. And those little things just add up, more confidence, better communication, and then it just lends itself, kind of permeates into better execution. So, guys are more focused.
I don't want to diminish what the Titans quarterback and what the Titans offensive line coach are saying are big, noteworthy elements of better offensive line play. But let's just focus on that for a moment. Cam Ward says in the Arizona game, they were finally able to communicate at a high level and had no issues. What an indictment that is of what they did in the first 4 and 5 games where they weren't able to communicate at a high level and had issues. I mean, offensive line communication is a pretty standard, basic, important part of the operation. And then Bill Callahan says better consistency, no procedural penalties. That's a major improvement and is something that will lead them forward. No procedural penalties. It's not an incredibly high bar. Now, I'm not taking anything away. The offensive line has been better the last 2 weeks. Better performance by a third tackle than we've seen in some time with Oli Udo, and now Latham's coming back. But that them finally communicating well and not having communication issues and them not having procedural penalties qualifies as a significant deal in their march to improvement, I think is revealing as to just how bad things have been. So also let's hope, we don't know how much this is trending. Hopefully you can really build something once you can communicate and operate procedurally. If they fail to communicate and if they fall back into procedural problems, we've got a big problem again with them. They need to be past failure to communicate and failure to be able to operate procedurally now as they head to Las Vegas. We'll take some of your comments here and see what's going on. James Pirtle says, want to be optimistic, but I can't forget about 3 quarters in a win and 4 of the games of bad offensive play. I mean, I think that's absolutely fair going forward into based on what the Titans have done. But that 4th quarter, very exciting and very encouraging. But is it a turnkey moment for this franchise or was it an aberration? And they certainly were handed a lot of things by the Cardinals. Now, they took advantage of them. Let's not get that wrong. They did their part. They had a key 3 and out defensively, and they had 3 great drives offensively. So the Titans did their part, but they certainly are not going to get those level gifts from the Raiders. Now, Geno Smith gives the ball away a lot. But are the Titans going to have a touchdown turned into a touchback? Are they going to have an interception turned into a touchdown? Are they going to have a snap off Geno Smith's face mask all in the span of 15 minutes? Highly unlikely. Godstink says Raiders being a 6-point favorite should tell you everything you need to know about the Titans team. They're not good at all. What does that make us? Yeah, well, I mean, Titans are clearly one of the 4 worst teams in football. The Jets are right there. The Saints are right there. I think maybe the Raiders are right there. Robert wants to make fun of me that the Yanks are in Cancun right now. They are. But if you're a Red Sox fan making fun of me that the Yanks are in Cancun, well, look, we beat you head to head. So we had a playoff series and we won it. So you were in Cancun sooner than we were in Cancun. Now, if you're a Blue Jays fan, you can talk some shit. If you're a Dodgers fan, you can talk some shit. Look, Yanks, they're overselling that it's the best team of the Boone era, and they've got some serious issues. But, I mean, if you're a fan of another team that's not still alive in the playoffs, hold your shit. Robert, I invite you to raise your hand and tell me who you're a fan of. And also, if you grew up in the city of that team or have some family connection, or if you just pick them at random. Tall Texan said, everyone knows the OL needs more time to gel than any other group. Real games get you better. Yeah. Everyone also knows that the Titans need to accelerate the damn process after a bad year last year and with the coach. Yeah, Denny asks if I'm going to be in Vegas. Where the Titans are, I am. John says, thought the Panthers would be terrible, but they looked great versus Miami. One game. I think the Panthers are pretty bad. Brewers, baby, says Garrett. And all I'll ask, Garrett, is, are you from state of Wisconsin? Appreciate all of you being here. What we have here is a failure to communicate, says Nicholas. It's the communication part concerns me, right? Seems like it's something they should be able to handle. How we doing, Ryan?
We're good. How are you doing?
Ryan came in, and without any communication, we're at this level. This is how the Titans offensive line needs to communicate. She gave me a Diet Coke with lemon because we've worked together a few weeks, and on this small level, we have inherent communication. She sees me working. She provides me the beverage that she knows that I drink. See how easy that is? Why can't the Titans offensive line operate in that fashion? I understand it's more complex and more complicated, but I mean, this is a small, quiet thing. Ryan and I have this thing going on. Thank you, Ryan. All right. Let me give you a little bit more here. We got to talk about Cam Ward and his ball placement. Look, there's been a lot made about, Miami receivers didn't have any problem catching Cam Ward's fastball. And that's true. And look, Titans receivers should be catching stuff that's thrown to them if it hits them in the hands or is in frame, certainly at a higher rate than they have. But that's not to say that Cam Ward needs to throw it 100 miles an hour all the time. There are times where it's called for, and there are times when it's not. And that's basically what his coaches have said, and that's what he has said. Right. So I think every element of conversation about this has been correct. The coaches have said there's a time and a place. Cam has pretty much echoed the same thing. Now the receivers are saying what receivers should say, which is we should catch everything all the time. Calvin Ridley said that this week, kind of with a smirk. And a lot of fans are saying that, to point taken. People caught it at Miami and all of that. Cam Ward has a 52.1 completion percentage. That's too low. It was under 50% before the fourth quarter of the Arizona game. Yes, drops have victimized him. And yes, he's thrown the ball out of bounds or thrown it away more than any quarterback in the league. But look, every quarterback's completion percentage includes drops and throwaways. Has he had a few more? Maybe. Well, I saw numbers out today that Trevor Lawrence actually has one more drop than Cam Ward, But every quarterback's numbers includes drops and throwaways. So you can't say, well, take away Cam Ward's drops. You can't take away all of them. You can't say take away Cam Ward's throwaways. His completion percentage over expected is minus 9.5. Okay. So that means it should be 9.5 points better. So 61.6. It's still not very good. I mean, I'm not expecting him to be the best in the league. Jared Goff is 75.2. He's got an offense tailored to a high completion percentage. Lamar Jackson, who's missed a couple games, 71.6. Jared Allen, another MVP, the defending MVP, 70.9. But there's a lot of room between Cam Ward's 52.1 or his expected 61.6 and those numbers at 70. Got to get in the high 60s. There's a lot of room for him to fare a lot better. His ball placement hasn't been good enough. He gets messed up with his feet, which the coaches have talked about. He cured those things in the fourth quarter against Arizona, right? Callahan told him at halftime, put your eyes in the right place, let your feet follow, and just make the throws. And he did that, and the results were spectacular. What gets in the way of that? Talked with Nick Holtz about this on Tuesday. Said rushers, obviously, people on you or people coming towards you, and then defensive disguises. Budda Baker, great at that, starts near the line of scrimmage, drops into cover 2, drops in the flat in cover 3, blitzes. Where you don't know where he's going, you got to keep an eye on him. Keeping an eye on him takes your eyes off of where you're throwing. So all of these things complicate stuff, and he's got a lot to sort through. We know that. Here's Cam Ward on ball placement.
Just a lot of easy stuff that I miss personally, especially me and the receiver core as a unit. A lot of times just ball placement where I need to put the ball to make it a more catchable ball for them and a runner's ball for them. Put them on their chest, let them turn upfield, get some yak. So just continue to be accurate, and then all of us taking accountability and trying to get better every day.
Cam Ward himself wants to make it a more catchable ball for guys, a ball that they could run with after he throws it. So the Cam Ward apologists out there need to listen to Cam Ward. Look, Cam Ward's loaded with promise, and that fourth quarter was phenomenal. But he's saying himself, he's got to throw more catchable balls. So, it's okay to be hugely in Cam Ward's corner, but to admit that he's got to throw more catchable balls. He's saying it himself. And more catchable balls includes taking a little bit off of it in certain circumstances. That's not saying that receivers shouldn't catch it if he overdoes it. But it's saying in combination, throwing a easier to catch ball for his receiver who can catch it more easily and run with it more easily is better for the offense. It's all fine. It all needs to work in conjunction. And he understands that he needs to do that. So certainly his most avid supporters should understand that as well. Cam Ward answers to all of this stuff really, really well. That's part of why there's big reason to believe in him. He's not defensive about this stuff at all. And it is very difficult in Titans history to find a young quarterback who, even just 5 games into his career, didn't bristle and wasn't defensive about questions like this. And Cam Ward is not. Cam Ward is completely stand up. Cam Ward is fine talking about this stuff. Cam Ward raises his hand. When they're asked, he says they're asked. He's not hiding from it. That's why I say he's got the mindset to be a successful franchise quarterback. And I think he's got the skill set too. Now, I said that about Marcus Mariota early, skill set and mindset to be a franchise quarterback. It didn't pan out that way. I think it will pan out that way for Cam Ward. Need time. Let's get back to your questions. What's Geno Smith's completion percentage? Omar is saying it's 65%. How has that fared for him? This year, it's not fared for him very well. And still, that's a significant jump from Cam Ward, who's at 52% and whose completion percentage over expected should be 61.6%. So Omar, don't be so defensive. He's got to complete more balls. He just said it himself. He's got to throw more catchable balls. This is exactly what I was just talking about. I like him, and I think he's good. And he knows he needs to be better. So he doesn't need you to defend him like this. Just contextualize it all. Here you go. Tall Texan can contextualize it. The Ridley catch on the seam in the fourth quarter should have been an easy touchdown with better ball placement. Now, I also wonder about how Ridley caught that. Right? He kind of stumbled a little bit. But, yeah, it could have been a better thrown ball. So that's part good, part bad. Made a throw that got them a big gain, but could have been a better throw that maybe got them an even better result. So you're partway there. Tall Texan, that's a good point. Yeah, and Dixie repeats, or if Ridley could stay on his feet. So a whole bunch of stuff worked to get a big completion and didn't work that it wasn't as good a completion as it could have been. Noah says, the reality is if they lose this week, especially in the fashion of the first 4 games, all this goodwill will be gone, and people will say they got lucky last week. And look, they did get lucky last week, but they took advantage of the luck, right? The same way the Bears got lucky in the opener last year when Will Levis tried to throw a ball away and threw a pick six. The same way the Jets got lucky last year when Will Levis tried to shovel a ball to Tajay Spears, and it turned into a turnover. But the Bears and the Jets took advantage of those things. Now, it wasn't on the grand scale of Arizona doing it 3 times, but Titans got lucky last week, and they took advantage of it. It's happened to them plenty, and they finally saw it happen to somebody else, and they were the team that took advantage of it. But, yeah, if they go and lose to the Raiders in bad fashion, then we're going to say aberration. And Arizona really blew it. If they beat the Raiders, they will have had to have picked up on some of the good things that they did against Arizona. If they lose in a better fashion, let's say in a much better fashion, if Cam does some things, maybe not a 4-quarter effort, but has some Arizona moments, if they have a couple good drives, if they score 20 points, or 24 points, let's say 24 points. If they score 24 points and lose, we'd say, well, we didn't expect this defense to be great, and there's some offensive progress there. At least they did some things that picked up on the Arizona game. And they're more like what we thought in terms of wins and losses. But here is the sort of progress that we wanted to see from Cam Ward, which is what we said we judge this team on, right? We said it's not going to necessarily be a win-loss season. It's going to be a Cam progress season. Now, look, they need to win more than 3 games ultimately. And if they lose the Raiders game, it's going to be hard for them to get to more than 3 or 4 wins this season, I think. This is one they've got to get. But in my bigger picture, the season is about Cam Ward and Cam Ward showing growth. Not linear growth. It doesn't usually go that way. But here's a 2-week segment where he can show some growth. So I think if they come out of this game, win or lose, and Cam Ward does good things that pick up on last week's fourth quarter, there will be some good takeaway from that. James Pirtle asks about Ridley. Is it me, he says, or does Ridley seem to stumble/fall after every catch? Sideline catches, he ends up out of bounds. I do think that's part of Calvin Ridley being Calvin Ridley, for sure. Yeah, Brandon asks, any smoke to the Big Jeff Chicago rumor with how he's playing? I think it could be a horrible time to trade him. I don't think any of this is coming from somebody tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's coming from any reporter of credibility. I think there's been some fan-generated Jeff Simmons to Chicago rumor, Simmons for DJ Moore, and a pick. Now, DJ Moore is another guy that's not a number one receiver. So the Titans would get another number 2 receiver and a pick. I don't know if that says a number 1 pick, but that's a fan-generated, to my knowledge, rumor. So let's differentiate. Let's look at where it's coming from. If you see it from a Bears reporter or a national reporter, then, somebody's talking about it. If you see it from fans and it just gets generated, then it's fun fan talk. And I think it's fun fan talk. But I don't think there's anything to it. The teams that the team that could really, really, really use Jeff Simmons is the Bills. Baltimore, if they feel revived and they're going for it. But who was I talking to? I was talking to Charles Robinson, the great Yahoo NFL national writer, when I was co-hosting Robbie and Rex Road this week with Robbie Stanley. And he was saying that he thinks the Ravens will be sellers, that the Ravens will accept that this is a down year with an injured quarterback, sell off some assets, get some additional picks, accept a down year. We know how well the Ravens draft, and they'll replenish and get back to being themselves next year. So that's not a take Simmons on territory for the Ravens. That's a deal their own good guys thing. Yeah, and I don't see KC. Somebody else has mentioned the KC. I don't see KC trading away those kind of assets. And what KC needs, Chris Jones kind of takes care of that role. Next to Simmons would be fun for sure. But if KC's making a deal, they're counting on Rice to come back and be a weapon. They could use another weapon. Their offense needs some juice. Godstink says if someone offered the Titans a first for Simmons, they should absolutely take it. I think it needs to be a pick and another pick. But I have come around on this. I've been saying I don't think they could get a first for Simmons, and they should take a second plus a later pick that could rise based on escalators. I do now think that Jeff Simmons is worth a first and that they shouldn't take less than a first and take that based on just his level of play right now. You can't give away that quality of play without getting a first back. I don't think. But again, this is all is he do they intend to give him a new deal and sign him to a longer term with more money? Wanted to say one thing. Adam Schefter reported earlier today, NFL said it initiated a review of the application of the concussion protocol involving Giants quarterback Jackson Dart during the Eagles game last night, Thursday Night Football. That review will be conducted jointly with the NFLPA under the parties' collective bargaining agreement. This is bullshit, by the way. And here's my reply to this. Let's get to the damn point where the concussion protocol is consistently applied correctly, and these reviews are not necessary. It is too often where something fishy is going on with the starting quarterback, who is a key to one team's success, and there's a concussion situation, but that team sure as hell needs him on the field, and we come out of the game saying, hey, it doesn't look like they applied the concussion protocol very well, very thoroughly. Let's look into that. No, let's do it in the moment like the rule calls for. We're supposed to be protecting these guys in the moment. Whether it has an impact on the game or Brian Daboll's lineup, we're supposed to be protecting Jackson Dart. Now, I don't know that we're going to get the truth about this investigation, but if we find out it wasn't applied correctly, what good does that do in terms of protecting Jackson Dart's head during last night's game? None. And we say, well, it'll help him the next time. Well, apparently it doesn't help him the next time, because 3 times a season there's an investigation of the application of the concussion protocol. What does the NFL get right? What does the NFL get right in terms of consistent application and execution of rules, of protocols, of all of this stuff? Get better at it already. Get better at it. Apply it effectively by the letter of the law. And have the people who are in charge of the stuff do what they're in charge of doing. They're sitting over there watching the game like fans and getting carried away. Apply the protocol. It's just ridiculous. Omar wants to know, what time does Cam come out before the game to warm up? I mean, he's on the earliest bus, which, for a noon game, the earliest bus would get there 8 o'clock maybe. He stopped and signed for some kids. Jim Wyatt had a video out. I would go look at the video Jim Wyatt put out of him signing for some kids from Arizona, timestamp that against the start time, and get an estimate on that. That would be your best chance. Yeah, the NFL gets marketing right. James is absolutely right on that. Well, you're saying the overseas Super Bowl talk. Goodell's a moron. There's going to be an overseas Super Bowl. Now, let's just pray that when they have an overseas Super Bowl, they're starting it still at a convenient time for America. Maybe you move it to 4 p.m. I would be fine with the 4 p.m. East Coast start. But you can't start it at a convenient time for London. You have to start at a convenient time still for America. But they're going to do it. It's a guaranteed thing. Let's retweet, and we'll bring some more people into the conversation here. Let's subscribe to paulkuharsky.com. I recognize a lot of your names, and I know a lot of you are members. A lot of you are also not. For less than 25 cents a day, you can get the best insight and analysis of the Tennessee Titans from somebody who's covered them since 1996 when they were the Houston Oilers. I've got top-notch relationships with all the decision makers and the people that matter. You're going to get different angles than the same thing everybody is writing on a given day. It's what I strive to do. And I've also got a nice pool of people who are presenting you with material different than anything you're going to get anywhere else. Blake Bedingfield, who scouted for 19 years, gives a scouting review of the Titans the day after the game. What did he see from a scouting perspective in what the Titans did and how they're utilizing their players and what they're lacking? Drew Beatty is offering film reviews. This week's he looked very closely at what? He looked at, come on, how am I forgetting what he looked at? He looked at Cam Ward's 10 key throws from the game against Arizona, and he graded them in the fashion that the Titans told me they grade throws when they're in quarterback meetings, where in the preseason, Callahan and Hardigree and Holtz talked through it. So what were Cam Ward's A throws and what were Cam Ward's F throws in this Arizona game. It's a really interesting piece. Mike Herndon writes from a great analytics point of view, and he looked at Cedric Gray. How much can we count on Cedric Gray to keep growing at the rate that he's growing? His last 2 games have been terrific. There are not many guys who are not part of the problem for the Tennessee Titans. Cedric Gray is one of those now. Later today, Braden Gall will have up a piece. We're looking ahead to Titans draft because we know how big that's going to be. And he looks at what's going on in college football, what happened last week that it kind of affects the Titans at their positions of need, and what is coming up this college football weekend that we should keep our eye on as it pertains to the Titans and all of these big needs that they have. All of that for $7.50 a month or $81 a year, which is 10% off. All of that for less than the price of a cup of coffee or a cocktail. Can't find a better value. Please come join us. Private Facebook page where people talk amongst themselves. Sometimes some tickets will pop up on there. All kinds of good stuff. And certainly more access to me. I appreciate your consideration. Come join us. Brandon is still in full support of Cam, but it's very concerning that I never hear the Titans bring Dart in for a pre-draft meeting. They brought seemingly every other quarterback, including Shador, to Nashville. I don't know if they brought Dart in or not. I wasn't huge on Dart, and I don't think a couple games from Dart tell us anything long-term about Dart. Garrett says, I don't care about an overseas Super Bowl, but I will be pissed when they make you buy a streaming service to watch it, and I guarantee that's coming. Here's an interesting thing that I need to write about. One of the things that could be coming in the next TV deal is not, CBS gets predominantly AFC and Fox gets predominantly NFC, and even that is kind of bled out. But the way kind of more tiered. Yeah, they're gonna sell top games. The Titans sell tickets now, and most teams do. The best opponents cost you more money. This year, the Titans' schedule isn't loaded with great teams, but the Kansas City is a premium game. If you want to buy a single game ticket and you're coming to see Patrick Mahomes, you're going to pay more money for that game, and the other games are less expensive. NFL could tier how it sells its games in that fashion. So if you want to see, let's say this year, coming in, Kansas City would have been in that tier. Buffalo would have been in that tier. Detroit would have been in that tier. Maybe the Rams would have been in that tier. Take the top 8 or 10 teams. Their games are going to be sold as one package. And, the Titans and the Jaguars, who aren't expected to be good and don't bring the same kind of audience, will be sold in a low tier. It's an interesting thing to think about. Logan says Peter Skoronski, 77, has seemed to become an elite guard. He's playing at a very high level right now, needs to sustain it over time. Need to sustain it over time in terms of proving how good you are. And then in terms of Pro Bowls and stuff like that, it depends a lot on other people. And, then you get your flowers really a year or two late. Michael Spain, as he told me last week, he came into town and tried the Edleys in Gallatin. I was absolutely right. 10 out of 10 for the brisket, ribs, grits, mac and cheese, and cornbread. All right. Edleys. You can come to Edleys in 12 South, which is where I am right now. Nolansville, Franklin in the Factory, Franklin and Berry Farms, Sylvan Park, East Nashville, Donaldson, and Gallatin. Download the Edleys app. And fees have gotten out of control. We all know that. If you're using one of the delivery apps, it's no way to go. Your meal costs what the meal is plus half of what the meal is to get it delivered to your house. That's not how it works with Edleys. Delivery apps charge you extra for the same service. Edleys wants you to feel like you're in the restaurant. So, and they want to lower your costs. It'll make your barbecue experience as smooth as possible. They do their own delivery, which is a revolutionary idea. So if you can't make it to Edleys, which is what you should do first and foremost, bring your family to dinner tonight, to lunch or dinner this weekend. Meet Ryan here at 12 South. Get yourself a cold drink, a big portion at reasonable price. But if you want to have it at home, use the Edleys app, set up delivery. They will treat you right. Portions are terrific. Hospitality is terrific. The prices are reasonable. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people that you're feeding. Check out the Edleys app. Get it on your phone and start using it. Kuharsky family absolutely does so. Let's get back into some of the video I wanted to share with you to hit some topics. Here's J.C. Latham talking about Max Crosby. This is the matchup of the week as the Titans play in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, they're in an elite front, even better with Crosby. He's a disruptor. I mean, you watch the tape, not only in the pass game, but in the run game. And then on top of it, he's batting balls and getting interceptions off of his own tip passes. So, he's everywhere. Then, more impressively, being the best player, he's covering the ball 40 yards down the field, 50 yards down the field, and he's one of the first guys there. So he'll give you a really good rush, and then you zoom through the play and you look at it where the ball carrier maybe 34 yards down the field, and he's right there trying to punch the ball out at that. So, I mean, everything that he does on the field, he aims to be the best, and it shows.
I know Latham can't ease into this game. Latham's got to match the energy right out of the start. I would hope he's able to play the whole game. It's conceivable that they do some rotating with him and Udo, but they've got to match. They used a lot of jumbo tight end, tackle eligible stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brendan Crenshaw-Dixon or Udo or Corey Levin in this game lined up to help. And there's no shame in that, especially against Crosby. So we'll see. Flipping to the other side of the ball with the pass rush, Jihad Ward, as the Titans are calling him, has shown some life playing. He plays, inside some as a defensive lineman. He plays outside in that outside linebacker position where the Titans are so desperate. Had a chance this week to talk to outside linebacker coach Ben Bloom, who talked a little bit about what Ward on defense is bringing the Titans.
Yeah, Hottie's Hottie. So he brings energy. He's a funny guy. He'll tell jokes. He'll be a little sarcastic. He'll be witty. He's a glue guy. I mean, the people love being around him because he's authentic. He's himself. He works hard. He loves football. He's really what type of guy you want on your team. He brings the whole team together.
Brian Callahan and Denard Wilson called Jihad Ward a glue guy this week. So much so that it made me nervous because I asked Callahan about him on Wednesday, and Callahan gave an answer that was so similar to what Denard Wilson said about him on Tuesday that I said, I'm sorry if I asked you that exact question on Monday, because they both used the glue guy thing. So I got a little panic there that I'd already asked Callahan that question, but it was actually Denard Wilson who had given a very, very similar answer. Glue guy. Now, he likes being called the glue guy, and the Titans need glue guys. Now, they need their glue guys to play well. Ward is playing better. There's still a lot of room for Titans outside backer and defensive front guys outside of Jeffrey Simmons to play better. So let's see it. Jalen Armour Davis has played poorly at the beginning of games. This is a problem. And Denard Wilson said that the Titans need him. He's a guy that needs to settle in. Look, you can't have a cornerback that needs the team to be down 14-0 before he begins to play at a reasonable level. So I approached Jalen this week. I asked him if that was a fair assessment about settling in and what he thought about the whole thing. I thought he spoke pretty well to the issue.
I think it's very accurate. We spoke about it ourselves. It's just make sure the practice translates to the game early. Start fast. It's been the emphasis of starting fast and finishing strong. So I think as a group, we finished strong, as everyone saw. But, I take a lot of credit for how the game started, giving the 2 big plays early to kind of had the defense behind. So just got to start fast, emphasize that this week and let it go into the game. And then everything else take care of itself.
What's gotten in the way of that? Is it a mental thing? Have you done that in the past, or is that new for here?
It's not really anything getting in the way. It's just football. It's just part of it. It happens sometimes. It's not really that it's like a habit or anything to break. It's just making sure it doesn't happen again. So it's not always really an answer to things like that. It's part of the game.
I think completely reasonable. But look, the guy's got to fix it. It can't have a slow start in Las Vegas. Or are they going to have to consider Darryl Baker? And look, they were completely comfortable with Jalen Armour-Davis as a replacement for Jarvis Brownlee, who this regime didn't like. But he's got to play better. He's got to play better than he's played. Randy Jordan, the running back coach. This is going to be Tyjae Spears' second game back. I think he played about 17 snaps, if I've got it right. In his first game back after IR time with that ankle sprain. The Titans have thrown the ball 9% of the time to running backs. It's the lowest in the league. Obviously, Spears being out is part of that. And Spears being back should get that number up. Spears looked really good in the preseason. I was down on Spears, but then you hear he had personal issue last year. And then he had a really good training camp. All encouraging things. They need to find ways to get him the ball in space and let him do his thing. Watch games around the league, and these screenplays are gaining so many yards for so many offenses, and not the Titans. The wide receiver screen, running back screen, different animal. Here's Randy Jordan, the running back coach, on Spears and this screen issue.
He's a space eater, man. I mean, like when he gets out in space, he's a guy that can make guys miss. Even if you miss a guy, like he can make the play right, and that's what he's shown over his career. And we're glad to have him back, not only in the screen game but just in general in terms of bringing some explosion to our offense. I'm sure.
Let's hope he brings some explosion to the offense. Titans need more explosion. They got explosion in the fourth quarter. Can they match it? Can they match it? Can they mirror it? Going back to Jalen Armour-Davis, James Pirtle says clearly they wanted bigger corners, but they have to play well. They're going to have to cover for the D-line to get pressure, and they have to just being bigger isn't good enough. You have to be bigger and play well. Combination. Nicholas says, I'm at the games, but the current NFL Sunday ticket deal between the NFL and YouTube TV expires in 2029. Yeah, look, and I think the TV deals with NBC, Fox, and CBS expire in 2030. Roger Goodell has said he wants to open up the conversations on those things sooner rather than later. And look, the broadcast channels, NBC, CBS, Fox, what do they have if they don't have the NFL? I mean, it's the single best, biggest broadcast property by a mile. You lose those, and, I don't know where you go from there. NFL has all the leverage here. Certainly those contracts are binding until 2030. But if you say, hey, Raj, we don't want to talk until 2030 about what happens in 2031, well, you're going to the back of the line. And if everybody else is willing to talk about it and you're not, well, guess what? You're going to be screwed. Why do Pro Bowls even matter? It's just a popularity contest. Why do people not talk about All-Pro? They should. I'll tell you, in the Hall of Fame room, we talk a lot more about All-Pros and All-Decade than we talk about Pro Bowls. But for older guys, back when Pro Bowls mattered more, we talked about them. Mike Sando, a member of the committee has urged Pro Football Reference or somebody to scale Pro Bowl appearances. If you're elected to the first version of a team, that is much more significant than if you're the 8th quarterback asked to go. And it would be helpful if somebody would sort through all of that. So we shall see. Logan thinks the NFL needs to stagger their starts, have games start over 15-minute intervals. I mean, part of the beauty of the NFL is that it all goes on at the same time, or a lot of it. And, you know, there are some games on their own in special windows. You see some of those games ending at different times. But does the NFL record their own stats on concussions, or is a third-party company monitoring it? I mean, the concussion that they share when they tell you things have gotten better or worse, that's their own information. Michael Spain, continuing on Edley, says, I undersold the baked beans. They were the best baked beans he's ever eaten. Edley's is as advertised, 5 stars. So more endorsements. I'm going to be eating here shortly. Appreciating all of you being here. It's always a good conversation. Here's a good question. Jay asks, which Titans player do I think is getting better as the season rolls on? Gray, Udo, Helm? It's hard not to say Gray because Gray's got the biggest role. Go read what Mike Herndon has to say. He kind of really spells it out, shows a lot of film on Gray. He's got to get better in pass coverage, certainly. Against the run, he's been really super and accelerating at a good pace. Udo, impressive from what he did early to what he's done now. I mean, he had it, he lost it, he got it back. Helm is playing more snaps. He had 5 targets in this last game. Like to see him get more. We'll see. Quinny the Pooh says, I believe that Cam's lower arm slot delivery is a contributing factor in drop balls from wideouts, especially from throwing out of the pocket on quick throws. I tend to agree. I think it's an awkward thing to catch a submarine throw when it's not necessary. When he drops that arm slot to get around a charging defender and go kind of around the guy's armpit when he's got his arm up, it's a superb way to make a throw and get it through traffic. And that's a winning play. But when he rolls out and there's nobody in front of him, get to your, and I know he's not going to be a straight overhander, but get to your maximum high throw there. Again, the Titans have to be able to catch all kinds of things, but make it as easy as possible. And he said that himself. Does he practice those different arm slot throws? I mean, I think he practices them in the context of a practice. But I don't know that he stands there and says, all right, I'm going to throw 10 from my highest arm slot, 10 from middle, and 10 from low, working on accuracy. Yes, I mean that Tyler Huntley is a fake Pro Bowler. Do I see Kevin Winston getting more reps at safety? Eventually, he's going to get more reps at safety. And I think it might cause problems because I think Condre Diggs believes he should be out there. And when he's not out there, I won't be surprised if he doesn't take that one. Can the Titans expect more from DK on offense and less from Lockett? Over time, yes. I don't think Lockett has been very good by any means, but I also think that Cam has missed him perhaps more than anybody. Do I think the Yankees should fire Cashman? I mean, find me a Yankee fan that doesn't. Banksy fan says he went into Edley's when he was here from Scotland for the Rams game because of me, and it was really good. Eddie wants to know why I think the Titans don't do enough play action. I mean, play action does require certain circumstances. I do think they should do it more, but I don't think they could do it as much as everybody would like. I do think that they should go quicker more often, and they went quicker against Arizona, and I think it was a good thing overall. Cam clearly likes it. Now, he said, I would like to live in it, but that's not real football. But there is room between how much they did it and how much they could do it before it's not real football. And I think they should test the limits of that. John Gall wants Winston to take over basically as a sub linebacker because Barton's not making enough plays. Well, I hate to break it to you, but Barton is not going to be subbed out. It's going to be more often Gray. And, they do play that 3 safety look, and that's where Winston will get his chance. But I don't know. Quicker offense, Ryan points out, it results in a more basic defense. And a more basic defense is a good thing for a young quarterback. And this offense that's not that highly skilled. Big John says Cam's sidearm throws are because of his general lack of discipline in and around the pocket. He cleaned it up in the fourth quarter and was elite with his timing and accuracy. I think, there are truths to what you are saying there. We'll take one or two more, and we're going to wrap it up here. I think, biggest themes of this game are obvious. You want to make sure that Geno Smith continues to make mistakes. Titans have to prompt him to make mistakes. Pass rush would help you do that. They have rushed better, but they have not rushed great. And I don't know that they're ever going to rush great with what they have. Coverage, good coverage could help. Let's see what they could do there. Slowing Max Crosby is an absolute necessity. I think you can only expect so much. He is going to influence the game. You have to do your best to minimize his influence of the game. Derek Williams with a really against the grain take. While it may not be a popular opinion, I believe the Titans will ultimately benefit from not paying AJ. The major drawback of the trade is that they should have received more in return. I mean, this is ancient history now. The years that they didn't pay AJ are over. He'd be on the verge of getting another contract by now. They absolutely should have paid AJ Brown. You pay star players to stay and play for your organization. You don't cycle them into more draft picks. That's the argument against trading Jeff Simmons. But the thing about potentially trading Jeff Simmons now is that you're a horrible team. You were not a horrible team when you traded AJ Brown. You were a good team. You were a good team. Hey, this has been the Paul Kuharsky Podcast. Please sign up for paulkuharsky.com. You get more than you bargained for. Eat at Edleysbbq. Load their app and order out. You'll be shocked at just how reasonable it is compared to your typical delivery services. I will broadcast from Allegiant Stadium's press box after the game. If you are a member, you get a text message telling you when I'm going live. Always a lively conversation after a Titans game. Don't block the box. And please, please lock your locks.